experience with our own products. We have a lot of experience with other people's products, obviously, or donated products, or items, pardon me, prizes. And we want to talk about that. We want folks to share their experience about, what kind of cool destinations and experiences as well that they're seeing and that they've seen donated or consigned. It could be with another company, totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to talk about, where to place those items and maybe give some feedback, our feedback, just feedback. That's it. Of course, not something you have to do, about where to put those items and where they'd be best suited for your event. If you're planning an event for the fall or for this summer, for instance, or, obviously even next spring as well. So if you want to get us kicked off, Jay, I will.
Please, let's get going, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much once again, everyone. First time, 10th time, what have you. Welcome to the 25th episode of the HGA fundraising.
Hey, we're silver now. Isn't that the right one? Silver anniversary?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what we get for that, but with that being said, thankful that everyone's here. We're going to talk about live auction items, and this is going to segue nicely into next week's episode as well. So this is kind of a two-parter. And we want to talk about just what we've seen in our experience. Doesn't have to be with our items, but live auction item best sellers, destinations, experiences that we see. And of course, like I said, we want to hear stories about what you're getting donated, what you've seen work really, really, really well. So we can get some nice interactive Q&A with multiple attendees and us at the same time. And hopefully come out the other end with some really, really good, insightful information. As always, Trevor Nelson and my partner, Jason Ledlow. And I'll be monitoring the Q&A and the chat function. So Q&A is at the bottom of the screen. Fire away any questions. We're extremely interactive with these webinars and happy to answer any question. We're going to keep it under an hour, of course. And we'll be sending out the recordings after the webinar and any slides that are pertinent and all that good stuff. And this dialogue, it seems to happen every week. The dialogue continues post-webinar, so we're really easy to reach, and you can respond to that email with the recordings and with any other questions or comments. And it doesn't have to even be today. It could be next week, next month, because we want this conversation to continue because we think it's important. So as always, we're going to also have a winner of an auction item. A great destination that will work at your next fundraising event. So stay tuned to the very end, and Jason will be announcing a winner, a random drawing winner for an auction item that you can use at your next event. And here we are. We're going to take it away, my friend.
All right. Yeah. Well, there's a great question, and it's what is working best? And we get this all the time. I mean, this is something that comes up a lot as we're talking to people all over the country, nonprofits. We're privileged the fact that we get to work with so many people across the country, literally from coast to coast and in all countries. So it really is something that we take very, personally to see what is. And, we do sell trips and experiences and things. So that is, we do that. But what we find is, we also, and if you've been here very long, we've talked about donations a lot, about how to raise money, how to get the best donations, how to get the best things, and how to get those items that are going to really create some excitement. So whenever, hopefully what this does is when you leave today, you're going to have some ideas about what is going to work, what's going to appeal to the broad base, if you would, of your donors. And so if you have some questions, and one thing that I want to ask about questions is, certain places, because this is one of the things that I get a lot. Trevor and I hear this all the time, Mark as well. Somebody goes, and I'll give you a great example. Somebody got something donated. They're like, where do I put this? What do I do with it? Is this something for the live auction? Should I do this in the silent auction? So if you've got those questions today, and maybe you've got something coming up and you want to know where you think, and we can give you that experience share. And that's really what it is, experience share. I mean, we get to see this all around the country and doing whatever. And then there may be somebody that's on the on here today that has some experience with it. We'll share that with everybody too. So maybe we even bring somebody on to bring you on screen, so that way you could share that with us. But when it comes to things, when we're going to talk about destinations, what's doing best, the name gives it away. The best thing that we're seeing in the nonprofit world right now, what's doing really well in all the events, whether I'm going to speak to live events right now. I know there's some places that are still doing some virtual and hybrid stuff, but I'm going to speak to live events. Our destinations, vacations and trips and experiences, they are without a doubt the very best. We are seeing, this is Trevor's term, a travel renaissance. I personally call it revenge travel. It's like I've been locked up for the last 14 minutes and I am ready to go. And the really interesting thing, we have been astounded at the response across the country with events. And it's not, and one of the things that I think, and Trevor would agree with this, and Mark has experience with this as well, it's not the size of the crowd. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, it does play into it, but it hasn't been a restriction. You know, we've had people say, well, you know, our event's kind of small and we're going to have 150 people there. Gosh, we've seen it doesn't matter. If you put the right items in front of your donors, they are going to get activated. They're going to raise their hand. They're going to raise those bids. They're going to make and create more experiences for you, create more money for you guys on the income standpoint and net dollars. So one of the things that we talk a lot is how much net money are you raising? And so as we're talking about these destinations, one of the things we want to do is make sure that when we do destinations, we do vacations and travel, that it's something that's going to appeal to a larger across, you know, your donor base. Because if you've got 150 people, I'll just use that for an example, that means probably you've got like 75 couples. So 75 couples. So do you offer things that are going to be group travel? Do you offer things that are just going to be for, you know, for couples by themselves? My experience is you've got to have a little bit of both. There is and depending on what it is, there is something in the psychology of sitting at a table with your friends and the auctioneer gets up there and says, we've got this trip is going to be for 6 people. It's, 6 adults. It's going to be 5 nights at a private villa, such and such, so-and-so, here's this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, what happens is people start going, hey, you guys want to go? I've always wanted to go. You want to go do that? Yeah, let's go. And it becomes a group effort, really. And then you get more involvement. So it's not just one person may be bidding, but actually you've got 2 or 3 couples, checkbooks, as we like to break it down to, getting involved and getting in the middle of your event. And that's really what this is about. This is about getting as many people involved as you possibly can, because we're also identifying donors. We talked about this just a couple of weeks ago. One of the reasons, why do you have a live auction? Why do you do these things? It helps you identify new donors. I cannot tell you in 30 years of doing this, whenever I started a long time ago, I used to always say, where's all the money at? And they'd say, well, it's at this table, this table, this table. And how many times we would start offering something up and there's some couple in the very back row that happened to just get invited last minute, showed up, loved the cause, loved the item, but the item is what they really get seeing. And they raise their hand and wind up being a big bidder and spending $10,000. Yep. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens a lot. Yep. And so that's one of the things that you want to do. Everybody can get stuff. Now, Mark, I'm going to use this example. Mark called me up one day and said, hey, I've got a client down here in Texas, and they were donated I think it was a full air conditioning system. And I think that's one of the things that you got. So yeah, so it was like an installation, the unit, everything. And Mark, they were talking about what did we do with it? And I was like, well, gosh, I don't know. Let me think about that for a little bit. And ultimately they put it in the live auction and it did spectacularly. I believe that's what they did, right, Mark? Because it was something that appealed to a broad base of people. It's down in Texas. It's hot. People need air conditioning systems. And so it sold for over $4,000. So, and that was a donation piece. So really look at that. The other time we've had clients that have had, a destination vacation, maybe it was a lake home, but it's the same lake house that's been donated the last 9 years in a row. And they're like, okay, what do we do this? Well, you've only got so many slots for your live auction. So you want to maximize those dollars. And so in this case, we got the nonprofit to move this donated piece to the silent auction. They still promoted it well, pushed it. It did very well there by itself, but then they were able to bring a new item into the live auction, and it sold for like 4 or 5 times. They netted 4 or 5 times the money that they would have netted on that lake house. So Those are things that you can do. But there's 4 categories that we believe when it comes to destinations that you want to stick to. I call them the 4 main food groups of live auction. A beach destination. It's always really simple. We'll talk about that more in a second. International destination, a domestic destination, and some kind of once in a lifetime. Those are the four main categories that you're trying to do. And that way you don't cross the streams, if you would, and cannibalize one. We don't need 4 different villas in Central America. Okay. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if we have one there, we've got some beach destination. We've got a place maybe in Colorado, which would be like a domestic, or, Napa, once in a lifetime. So it may be a fishing trip. It could be a hunting excursion, a photo safari, or maybe something like Iceland, which is really rare, the land of fire and ice. So those are things that keep in mind when you're thinking about who is going to be your bidders and everything. So those are really things, and I'm kind of just riffing here because I want to get to the point of what the best sellers are, what we're seeing that are doing the very, very best. And I've got a countdown list. I'm going to give you the top 4 here in just a second of what we actually provide, what we see that's selling for our stuff. But I want to ask, what are you all seeing in the past? What have you seen that has been your best seller? I'd love just to get that feedback. And, if you wouldn't mind putting it on the chat, just ask the real quick question. What have you seen has been your best seller?
It doesn't have to be what we dictated either, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it could be anything. Like I said, it could be we had a donated AC unit. So if that's the case, then let's talk about it. Okay. So Karen said had a villa in Tuscany. Okay. Awesome. That's awesome because Tuscany is fantastic. Everybody wants to go to Tuscany. So Trevor, make sure you talk loud because they said they're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay. Pardon me. Can you hear me better?
So I'll talk about Tuscany since that was brought up really quick. And Kara, do you have a question? You want to? Oh, she had her hand up. I'll lower that down. Maybe she had something. Okay, a cruise with no deadline to use. Sure. Awesome. Judy said Aruba, Red Sox tickets with seats not available to the public. Oh, okay. Wow. Now we're talking about once in a lifetime. So let me hit on a few of those things real quick. So a couple things that I think are really exciting that are always do very, very well. I live in Oklahoma City. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a big deal for my little town to get an NBA team. It was something unusual we didn't have. And one of the things, and I'm astounded day in, time out, how well tickets to the Thunder game do. And I'm not talking about just, tickets up to the general admission. I'm talking about floor seats, what would say floor 1, which is right on the front row. That's a once in a lifetime experience. And those things bring a premium because the people that know or people that they don't have the ability to go because, I just happen to know those are $1,500 a ticket for one game. So if you're a season ticket holder for those, you wrote a big check to get that, or it's a company and they did a big corporate sponsorship. So, and you can't just go get those tickets. And I do know that for a fact because I've seen people try to go buy them. You can't just go, say, you know what? I got plenty of money. I'm gonna go write a check, or we're gonna go get those tickets. You've got to have somebody to do it. But those are the kind of things that do well. We mentioned a week or so ago, we were talking about donated items, talking about baseball. We had a deal where it could be the ball boy for the OU game and the OSU game. And so to be the bat boy or girl, they didn't care, but there were some things, and that did phenomenal because, your child or your grandchild or somebody's grandchild can actually get to go on the field, put the uniform on, put all the stuff, and go be in the dugout. Big experience time there. The mayor's box at a Phillies game. Those are things that it is not, you can't just write a check and go do that. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could if you're doing something, but all those things are that once in a lifetime experience. And that's because it's rare. You can't get on Amazon and go buy that. You can't just get on a line and just try to go find those things. And it's also that people don't think of it. I mean, truly, it becomes an impulse buy because they go, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Yeah, that'd be fun. We got, we're going to be in the mayor's box. It's 6 of us or 8 tickets, and hey, there's 8 of us at the table. Let's all go together and do it." And so you get that impulse, and that's what we're trying to do. When you're doing something that's virtual and something that's hybrid, it's a little bit more thought out because it's not quite as impulsive, and the energy's not in the room. But that's what you want to tap into. We've talked about dinners, dinner with a politician. I always say, don't let the politician get up and speak. But if they want to, have dinner with somebody, people will pay to have that very exclusive access. We had a deal where it was breakfast with a billionaire. There was a local billionaire. They set up a breakfast with them, and they said, hey, you get to go and have time with them. And it was a very short deal. It was a time commitment. There was no other experience other than you got to sit with somebody that can write a check for anything. It was a really cool experience and did very, very well because it's an unusual thing. And so you get that rare access. So what are some other things that you guys are seeing out there that are doing exceptionally well? So we talked about once in a lifetime. We've talked about Tuscany. Anything else that you've seen that's done really well that, we haven't mentioned? And I'm going to come back to the cruises because that's a really interesting thing that we're exploring. Napa Valley is a great destination. Last year with everything being shut down, it was really tough to send people to Napa because everything was closed. So that's an experiential thing. So how do you do that? But now that it's back open, people love to go to Napa. People that have never been to Napa, it's got a mystique about it. There's great food, great hotels, great wine. It's all there, and it's right here in the U.S., so it's not hard to get to. Getting flights into San Francisco. So how do you go about that? So those are really, really great destinations. Laura mentioned a private tour, private plane ride over the country, probably their county. This is a really interesting thing. When you reach out to your the pilot population in your community, you are going to find a lot of pilots that the only thing they love better than flying is sharing that experience with somebody else. And you'd be surprised what those will do in a live auction. I'm a pilot, love to fly. I've been fortunate enough to fly helicopters and airplanes both. And so we've done, I was able to donate that at one point in my life where I could donate those kind of rides. And those were did really well because it's not something that's normal that people would go do. It's just it's kind of impulsive, or maybe a destination. There's pilots out there that have great airplanes, very safe, very good. And you tie that with a dinner destination somewhere and they'll pay for the whole thing because they just want to share that. So it's a really great deal. A ride in a restored World War II tank for 6 that did well. Again, once in a lifetime experience that somebody you would think, wow, what is that worth? You can't put a price tag on it. There is no, nobody sits there and goes, hey, I'm going to go to Amazon and see what it costs to go ride in a tank. So it becomes intangible. So it's the experience. And also it was for group for 6. So there you go. Jimmy Buffett tickets. Concert tickets do really, really well, especially if they're special access. I'll give you some hints about finding special access. Find the promoter. If you go directly to and there's always a promoter that's right there in your local area, and they will have all kinds of tickets because a lot of times that's how they get paid, and then they turn around and sell those tickets. That's partly how they do it. But you can go, and a lot of times we have a guy here in Oklahoma City. His name's Front Row Joe. I don't know him personally, never met him, but I've got a friend. It's a friend of a friend, and he gets the most exceptional tickets to a concert. I got to see Bruno Mars, second row, and it was phenomenal. Those tickets, again, when you're talking first, second row, you can't just go on to Ticketmaster and go buy them because they're very expensive, very hard to come by. But it's finding those producers. So, if you're making notes, write down, upcoming concerts, because the concert doesn't have to be in 6 weeks. It could be in 6 months, but the concert season's out, and those things do really well. This is funny. Sherry mentioned that Jimmy Buffett, they did Jimmy Buffett tickets again, and said the eventual winner invited the person bidding against him to attend as the second couple. That is awesome. I always like to say whenever I'm doing the auction, I'm like, they're not going to invite you, so you need to keep going bidding against them. But you'll see that that is really an exceptional piece right there. Hey, we've got a question popped up.
Yeah. A question
I
from
hope you can tell us how to find these special tickets. Okay, well, I think I kind of
Yeah.
did talk about that. But again, find out the promoter of the two, whoever's the local promoter. Okay, there's always going to be a local promoter that are going to get the venue together. They're going to be tying that stuff information, and that's the person that you want to go to, because, or somebody tied into that, they'll get paid with those tickets. And a lot of times, somebody who's working in the concert, maybe they're doing the scaffolding, maybe they're doing the stage production, they're some part of it. Well, they'll get paid in these tickets, and then they turn around and sell the tickets, and that's a great place to go. You may have to buy the tickets, but they will be at a far discounted rate that you would never get access to.
Yep, that's a great point. Sherry had a great point about corporations and different companies having box seats and different sky boxes and luxury boxes that they can donate. As well. I wanted to use an example quickly because, yeah, Christine was talking about how to access these things. Number one, and Jason is the best at this. Jason and Amy speak about this just about every week. Asking, asking, and the best tool that you have being your phone, right? And everyone in your network, and everyone in your network's network. Like a simple example though, like the San Francisco Giants baseball team is the closest baseball team to us where we're at in Northern California. They have a community fund, and our local Chamber of Commerce had a fundraising event and just asks for tickets, and they get them every year. So I think a lot of times, I think it's simply just an ask. A lot of times you can actually go to the concert venue or the Coliseum or arena directly as well, and they're tied in the community. They want to do work in the community. This kind of segues nicely into what you were talking about with the pilots, Jason. I mean, there's a local community of pilots in every city, in every county,
every city, every town. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a subculture? Absolutely, because not everyone's a pilot, right? Those people are willing to donate. They have access. They know people with planes that might be bigger and faster than their own, for instance, as well. So think about their network. At the end of the day, and this is a common theme with every week that we talk about this, is just being creative and being unabashed and willing to ask.
And I think the other thing is who do we know?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a great example. So we've got a minor league baseball team here in Oklahoma City, and I'm just going to use my experience with this. And we were trying, there was a group that was trying to do something really cool. And so they were doing the thing that everybody does around here. They were trying to say, well, we could get a suite and we could do this. And because there's corporate suites and it's not that hard to get those donated. But I said, well, that's great, but why don't we do, what's going to be special about that? Because it's it's a minor league park. And so I'm not downplaying because it's a beautiful park here. But I said, what if we could get somebody, I'm just kind of throwing this out. I said, what if we could get a special tour? So it was a friend of a friend who knew the groundskeeper, did all the stuff for the field maintenance, was able to make a phone call, got a group of like 10 people to have a private tour of the greens, and it did spectacular. It brought probably, this was a thing that would normally bring $1,500, somewhere around that in a live auction. It brought like $3,500 just because it had that extra piece to it, this private tour. It was something special access. People want that access. They can't buy it. Okay. They want that. And it just gives something, lights it up a little bit better. A vacation, the most Wisconsin vacation ever, a week at a cabin up north and a private tour of Lindenkugel. I don't know if that's right how I said it. The Lindenkugel Brewery for 10. There you go. One more thing. So look around at what you have. We did one. This was a real interesting thing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's a gentleman that has a lubricants. They do lubricants for the trucking, construction industry, all that. They set up a private party there and did a tour of this thing, and it did fantastic. It brought, I don't remember. The party was for like 20, 25 people. The people, the gentleman that owns it loved the organization. So he was happy to do it. He picked up the tab for everything. And it was in a manufacturer. They shut it down, had it all cleaned up, and it was the coolest deal. And it brought $5,000-6,000. And, it was all donated. So once in a lifetime type things are always, always very good. We did one, I think I told you guys, with a dinner, just at a local restaurant here, but we just, got the nonprofit to pick up the food, the cost of the food, and put together. They've got a beautiful private room, and we sold it twice for $2,400. So, and it cost the nonprofit $800. And so they netted, had a great net out of that, $4,000. So those are all things that you can think about. Santa comes to your home with photographer. We've done with, decorate your home. We've had where they did a full on. They went to a local landscaper, and they said, look, we're going to, puts up the lights on the outside. Then they went to a decorator and got them to do the inside. So they did outside, and they provided the lights, they provided everything, and then they would come and take them down. So they did the outside, they did the inside. It worked great for the landscaper because it was, all of a sudden they've got publicity. It's free advertising. Plus they made a donation. They're giving and investing in the community, and also the decorator. And then they featured those things within, they got advertising and publicity for it to do that. So it was a really, really good deal all the way around. And there's people out there that, pay $3,000 or $4,000 not to have to do anything. Just if you can come put the lights up and do all that to my home, people will spend the money for that. So, birthday parties. I mentioned this before, having a mascot. Like if you do have a professional team, instead of, you're not going to get a professional, football player, baseball player, basketball player, hockey, whatever your sport is, to necessarily come and be at your kid's birthday party. But getting the mascot, that's a special deal. And they all have programs that you can reach out to, and they donate so many of them. Sometimes you have to spend some money on it to help that. But gosh, those things do really, really well. Okay. So we've talked about experiences. We talked about, the Tuscany. Anything else that anybody's done that was just really cool that you guys thought just did exceptionally well? Anybody? Any questions? How about a question? Maybe you've got something that you had donated for an upcoming event and you're not sure what to do with it. I'd love to talk about that. And then I'm going to pop up what we've seen is our top 4. We have more experiences than that, but I'll give you the top 4, and then we'll talk about those for just a second, just to give you some ideas. Not that you need to, necessarily use our stuff. We'd love you to, but if you are able to find something, to use this for an idea, then that's great too. So I'm just going to, not that one. So this is the best destinations. And I'm going to back up here. I kind of messed that up. But our number 4 seller, and I want just to go through this really fast, is the Tuscan Getaway. The Italian culture and cuisine is just magical for somebody. This is one of our trips in the golden ticket that we have, that we've talked about in the past, about how you can raise anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 net dollars. And that is the number 1 choice. Anytime somebody gets the golden ticket, they always choose that. We also have, because we talk about groups, so we've got a trip for 4 where they also get wine. So it's taste now, travel later. So you can they get a case of Italian wine shipped directly to them, and then they get to travel. And so it's like a 6-night destination, beautiful modern apartment right there in Cortona. And it's really, really hot. And it is one of the top destinations across the country. It doesn't matter if it's, from Washington to Florida, from Maine to Southern California, and everywhere in between. People love to go to Tuscany. So don't underestimate that. And one thing that I do want to mention, because I get this question a lot, people they get worried about the travel stuff with COVID and all that. Don't be afraid of that. Don't let that get in your way. We have not seen any pushback, because the ones that are worried about it just aren't going to bid. But the ones that are going to bid anyway don't care. Like I said, it's like revenge travel. Wouldn't you agree, Trevor?
Yeah, I was just going to say it was something that I had jotted down in notes for today's webinar. Anyway, is that at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's one of our items, consigned items, or a donation item, what we've been saying since the onset of COVID is the truth, though, right? Dream destinations are dream destinations. That doesn't mean that, of course, sometimes we're restricted of whether or not we can go there. I mean, we love Maui. We couldn't go to Maui for a period of time, right? People love Tuscany. I mean, in their bones, love Tuscany. And it's a dream. I mean, they make movies about it, right? That's never going to go away. Now, does that mean that we've shrunk the spectrum of people from 0 to 100 that actually want to take the risk in their eyes or whatnot to bid and actually travel those destinations? We've seen that firsthand, 100%. We can't control donors' sentiment and whether or not they feel comfortable. We deal with that on a daily basis, but we're not here to tell someone they should feel comfortable about a destination they don't feel comfortable about. Let's let the market tell us. But at the end of the day, once again, those destinations are not going anywhere, and that's why they're still performing so well. A bigger macro point as well is, well, not necessarily a bigger point, but another huge point is that when you take something away from people, the same thing that we're talking about with revenge travel or the travel renaissance that we're seeing right now, which is just an abundance of people traveling all over the globe right now, especially with our destinations that we see firsthand because we do all of our bookings, is that when you take something away from someone, psychologically, they clamor for it and they want it even more. So that's another thing that we're seeing. So if these are destinations that didn't sell at your event for the last year and a half, 2 years, so be it. We're not going to argue the point that you need to start interjecting certain destinations back in your event if you're not comfortable with that, or if you don't feel your donors are comfortable. We don't believe in making up the minds of our donors when we do have a priceless, world-class dream destination like Italy. People are going to buy it. And that's what we're noticing. We have zero attrition with our top sellers. We don't, long story short, we don't put our top sellers in events and don't see them sell at least once. As a matter of fact, we see them sell more than once, almost 100% of the time. So that's pretty darn, cool as far as the feedback and the data that we're seeing and the kind of the impetus for, why we're doing this webinar today and next week as well about these different destinations.
Well, I mean, to your point, we had just a couple of weeks ago, an auctioneer sold our Tuscany for 4 with the taste and combined with the wine, sold it 8 times for $8,000. So, it was some serious money that they made off that one item. So it was really, really good. So yeah. they netted $32,000 off of that. So it was a really good deal. Hey, Kathy's got a really cool question, and I think this is a lot of fun because it's very unique. One, it says, we have some pictures that were bought on cruises. They are nudes and they're big. Suggestions on selling these. Wow, all kinds of things pop into my mind when I start thinking about something like that.
It would have to be in the right. It would have to be in the right event, probably.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but these are photographs, Kathy, or are they, like on canvas, like behind me, or kind of embellish a little bit? But yeah, I was just thinking the first thing that popped in my mind, Jason, was just that they'd have to be in the right event, so they're well received, right?
Yeah, and you could do something fun with that. I mean, you literally could have, I don't know anything about your organization. Let's see,
Oh, interesting. That's
frame prints numbered. Okay,
that's cool.
So one of the things that we've seen some folks do with some little bit. And I'm going to use the term sketchy. I don't mean that the way it is, because I'm sure that these are phenomenal deals, but it's also a really specific deal, is to have a private sale and auction with a wine tasting, something like that, like a wine and hors d'oeuvres, put it together, make it really exclusive, make it really kind of like hush hush, special secret, sell the tickets, make them hot, make it expensive to come. That we've got this exclusive, art. Don't talk about the fact, you don't have to put pictures of what it is. Talk about the artist, exclusive deal, and build some excitement around that. Make it limited, small, and reach out to people. And that's just my idea off the cuff, is that you make it something short and exclusive. So it's not like you're sending out to the broad deal of everybody show up, or putting it in your live gala, because one, you may have somebody out there and they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they have these nude pictures up here. But people that are into that, and what I mean, who love art, love prints, love stuff, they don't care. It's just they love the artist, they love that kind of stuff, and make it
That was
really exclusive and kind of fun.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my points is that, we thought for a long time that travel was ubiquitous in every event, maybe not every event during certain periods of time, right, with the pandemic. Wine, ubiquitous in every event,
Mm-hmm.
sells well. There are art lovers, decor
Mm-hmm.
lovers in pretty much every event. Now, I can't tell you that an item is, a framed item that you can, you have 100 of is going to sell 100 times over at an event. But there's just folks with different tastes, and I don't think that we can ignore that, right?
Yeah.
So
Here's a really cool, here's a cool idea that Sherry mentioned for that is signify the area as an adult section, like set it up whether it's adults only, and that'll
yeah,
attract crowds. Exactly.
very
Anything that creates excitement or controversy in a way, as long as it's done tastefully, always creates, more
yeah.
energy and excitement, and you can have a lot of fun with that.
No,
You literally could say it's the adult only section, and and have it back there, and put a thing out there. So there's lots of cool stuff that you could do with something like that.
Hey, Jason, Sherry had a good point, and I really appreciate it. I'm flattered that you said so, Sherry. She used an auction item of ours, the Tuscany, and with most of our live auction items, if not 100% of them, we have a really nice video that accompanies the items. And the impetus for doing these videos and investing in videos with the production value was to highlight the items on your website, social platforms leading up to a live event, and to utilize the item being auctioned off at the live portion of the fundraiser. Regardless, those ideas were not original to us. I think that we're probably the only consignment company that does that, and we just thought it was a really, really nice investment, not just with our marketing material, but with the videos as well. And Jason, speak to this as well. I could be tripping over myself, but that being said, not the most expensive thing to have a video done. You probably have someone in your sphere of influence, in your committee or in your community that does have access to a videographer or a production company or someone that has graphic design experience that could put together a video for you. Folks are really, really inspired by seeing these videos, 60 seconds or less, 45 seconds or less, 30 seconds even, that you can post on your social platforms pre-event to get folks excited and get the juices flowing, so to speak, about bidding on these live auction items. It's worked really, really well for our clients that utilize our items with the video. So I really appreciate the feedback on that, Sherry, and we're proud of that. So very flattered with that. But I would behoove anyone to add some kind of video component to their live auction. If they have an auctioneer, an MC, highlight the item before it's auctioned off with a video in front of the crowd. I think it's great. It's captivating.
I'm gonna show you guys something just to do this, because I think this is.
I appreciate the feedback, Sherry.
Let me see if I got this done right here. I'm going to try to pull this over because this is a great topic. This is something that I recommend that people do with every. Let's see if it's going to let me find this here.
I'll pop off. So you can
just keep talking for a second. Let me find this real quick because I want to just show somebody this item.
Okay.
And
I still don't think that we've seen a lot of feedback on maybe you've got a donation, you're not quite sure where to put it. And if no one does, then so be it. But I think that's a really great topic. We get that pretty often, Jason, if not like every other week, where someone goes, hey, I got this. This was donated, yada, yada, yada. I'm
going to tell you guys how to do a video real quick. I'm going to show you an example of something real fast.
Okay.
Here's an easy way to do it. There's a program called Canva. It's not expensive. Just sign up for it. It's like $9.95 a month. Canva, Canva.com. Go there. You take a presentation. You take pictures, and you just put still slides, and then you can download it as a movie. take that movie of slides of your donated item, whatever it is, and when you take that, all you do is, I mean, you can get on freelancer.com or Fiverr. Look those up for freelancers. There's Voice Talent. They'll charge you $100 or something like that. You give them the script of everything. They'll time it. I found I had a guy that was doing this for me. He was, and he would say, okay, we'd say, look, just, we want it to be steady and exciting and stuff. And he would do the video, the wording part, cost, $100, $150 or something. And I'm trying to get this video pulled up. Let me see if I can get it to do it now.
Puppy love. This sweet little girl will steal your heart with her lovable, soulful eyes, dark ears, and wispy white hair. Chloe is a small mixed breed puppy, under 24 pounds, fully grown. She is 3 months old and weighs.
Can y'all hear this okay?
Pounds.
I hear it okay. It's one image. That's the easy part about it too,
Yeah.
Spayed, microchipped, and is completely up to date on all of her age-appropriate vaccinations and preventatives. By making Chloe part of your family, you open up space for another homeless animal to find their new, lifelong, loving family. Chloe will not be able to leave with the winning bidder at the conclusion of our event. Chloe will be available for pickup tomorrow, August 25th, at the Oklahoma Humane Society's Adoption Center at 7500 Northwestern, OKC 17. Whoever takes Chloe home is extremely lucky.
Okay, sorry about that. My whole point was to show you that we did that. That dog brought $7,000.
Wow. Yeah, it tells a story. It just tells
dog brought $7,000, and the reason it brought $7,000, I believe, is because of the video. Because everybody was like, "Oh, ooh," because it's up on the big screen. That video cost $150, I think, probably total. And I'm thinking that was with everything. You can do something that simple. So when when I started doing this a long time ago, what everybody used? Everybody had the, I'm going to bring you back on the spotlight here, Trevor. When I started doing this, everybody, we just had a simple guide. You pulled up your book and everybody would flip the pages and open it up. And everybody still usually does one of those. But then we got to where we were doing the big overhead. And the overhead would show a picture of what we were doing. And if you're not doing at least this, you've got to start doing it so people know what you're selling. Because, I can't tell you how many times somebody's going, "What are they selling? What are they doing?" Because they're all talking and, and having a good time and visiting. And it's going to be even more so now because what's everybody doing? Everybody wants to be around and see each other. So you have your event. Hasn't been live. All of a sudden you've got a live event, got a room full of people. They all want to visit. You got to get their attention, let them know what you're bidding on.
Yeah, I think that's a really good.
But the progression to that now is videos. Whether it's something consigned that you get from us, from another company, or something donated, whatever, nothing sets the table like a video. This is what I prefer to do if I'm actually the auctioneer, is to have something 30 seconds. 30 seconds is plenty. Okay. Don't do it anymore. We've got some videos that are long, but we'll talk, like when we do the Cabo craze, we talk about that. The video's longer. I always say, look, have them, once you do this, the music, because it's not a voiceover, fade the music down, have it playing in the background. The auctioneer finishes on the last page of what it is, and it works really, really well. But that's the power of doing a video. Spend the money to get the AV where you can put that video up, where they can plumb it in. It will pay you dividends like you can't believe, because it will catch people's eye that a book won't. Because I can be the auctioneer and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. I've got this great puppy. It's right here. You see him walking around." Nobody can see it because they're not even paying attention. Because, Trevor's over there. He's got a glass of wine in one hand. He's, holding his wife. They're standing there talking and, engaged with other people, and they don't even see it. But the music up and they say it's puppy love, and then all of a sudden Shelby sees the dog, Trevor says it, and Trevor winds up buying the dog because he loves his wife. And and if he doesn't, your auctioneer is probably going to say, "Trevor, that other person must love their wife more than you." So there you go. Canva has a free offer for nonprofits, so even better. But those are really good simple ways, low cost, very low cost. And if you know somebody, and the reason I say hire a professional, like on Freelancer or Fiverr,
Upwork is another good
it's
one.
a lot harder to do that, record those videos, because I've recorded a few of them. It's a lot harder than it seems, because you'll get all the way down 4 lines through it and you mess up, and then you got to go start all over again, or you got to have somebody that's professional that spliced it all together. It's really difficult. So you can do that. They can splice it together. I mean, literally, I would send the video to the guy, and there's lots of them. So you just find somebody who can do it. And but I would send the video. He would embed the sound on the video for us. I mean, he just did it. He was like, yeah, no problem, because he would time everything right with it. So they're out there. So even if it's a donated item, please do that. So I'm going to hop to the other parts that we were doing real quick on the best destinations on the countdown. Obviously, this. Number 3 was Costa Rica. We went back and looked in Costa Rica, the jungle paradise. It is an island. You can get to the beach, but it is an incredible, incredible destination. We have an option for this. It's an all-inclusive option. Some fantastic resorts, so you get the best of both worlds, the beach and the jungle. But anything like the Costa Rica, people love.
It's a very desirable spot. It really is.
Yeah. Maui vacation. My thing messed up here on the deal. I didn't catch that, but packages for the discerning traveler. Hawaii is just a magical place. I can't, I've not personally been, but just over the years of selling it, it always does well. People want to go, and especially now. So we're back to the whole thing. It's a beach destination, but it's still domestic. It's a very safe place to go. So, and I'm saying all the places we do are safe. So I don't mean to say that, but people think, it's a United States, it's a state. And so I'm not having to go outside. I don't have my passport. So I'm just going to go get on the plane and I can go over there and be there. So great destination, to do that. And the number 1, luxury beach holidays. These are the number 1 seller overall across the country without question. And I want to just say, why is that? Beach holiday, and I'm talking about all-inclusive vacations and private villas for groups. Those are the number 1 things that we have seen across the country doing that. And so, if you've got somebody that has a place down in Cabo and they're willing to let you put it up for a week, then you need to do it, because it is really, really good. The other thing about all-inclusive beach vacations, and I'm going to talk about those for just a second, why they do so well. We're actually going to do another webinar on the Cabo Caribbean Craze, because there's been a lot of people asking how to do it well. So we're actually going to have some professionals come on besides besides myself to talk about their process and how they do it, to give you some ideas, because it's really important to communicate this with your auctioneer. But the reason this is so good, because everybody likes to go to the beach. Let's say everybody, if you were to poll everybody in your organization and you put all those places down where they'd like to go, it will be number 1 beach destination, because it's where they're already going.
People are already going there.
So what happens is you're able to leverage their vacation budget into your donation budget. They're then donating with you. And that's where it really gets really good, because whenever you do that, whenever you bring that vacation, somebody's sitting there, and let's say it's we're doing the Caribbean Craze and it's 2,500 is the price. There are people that are sitting there going, we're going to go anyway. And they raise their hand, because it's back to the energy and the impulse. And we see this sell 6 to 10 times every event. We did it. And again, don't think that your event is too small. I did an auction. This was the last event that I did before COVID stopped. It was 65 people in the room. Okay. Most of them were couples, so very, very small. We sold 6. When we opened back up, one of the first places to open up, have a live event for us this year, was a small town up in Oregon, and they sold it 22 times, 22. And I think there was 180 people in the room. So, really, really just keep that in mind, that you want something that you can, get as many people engaged in as you can. And like I said, we'll talk about that another time, but those are some really, really good stuff. And, we've got some kits of this stuff we'll do. So what I want to back up and kind of close with, because we're wrapping up on our hour, you've heard some phenomenal ideas. Look in your phone. Still the most powerful fundraising tool you have is right there handy. Get those people involved. Reach out to who you know, what kind of special access. We call it the people exercise. Can they write a check for $10,000? Doesn't matter, yes or no. Can they fill a table with 10 people? Do they know? And then do they have special access? Again, special access is the guy's best friends with the greenskeeper at the ball club, at the baseball club. man, that's right. You're right there. You can get that kind of access. So those things are there. You have those, you have that capacity, you have that ability. And then remember the four things, you know, once in a lifetime, beach destination, domestic, and international. And those are going to really fit you really well. And then, and that once in a lifetime is where you can really excel right there in your local community. You all, I promise you, have a treasure trove of once in a lifetime experiences right within your state, within your city, within your county. And so do not underestimate that. When we send this out, I'm going to try to, we'll try to round this up and put all this information on here. So that way you do it, you know, private chef, dinners at home, those kind of things. Somebody said, what are these destinations you're talking about? Yes. The four destinations I just mentioned, Laura, we do offer all those. The reason, and that's why I say they're the number one selling that we do. We across the country, they all do well. We have a lot of other things that do well that are very special. You know, that like Napa. We talked about Kentucky bourbon tours, experiences. We're putting together a new package. It's going to be wine or whiskey. So your donor gets to choose. So you have one bidder that's wanting to go to Napa and another bidder that's wanting to go to the whiskey tour in Kentucky. So they're bidding against each other to raise more money.
That's a really great point. That's a really great point, Jason, is that when you can, it does not have to be our item, of course, but we find there's options. Like we combined our Cabo and our Caribbean all-inclusive packages that include 4 different separate destinations into one. Just like the idea of the video, it just makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And donors are inspired by options, just consumers in general. I mean, this is consumer psychology at the end of the day as well. And so if you can combine certain items that you have, if they make sense, like wine or whiskey or whatnot, you can end up getting more attention in the room, if you will. So I think that's a really good idea. It doesn't have to be our items, but just the psychology of co-joining donations or other consigned items is really, really, really impactful if it makes sense. So utilize that. And then, as mentioned, Jason, we're gonna announce a winner for the Vegas auction item before off. But there are things that are going to pop up in your mind, I hope, at least after we conclude. So please, when we send out the recording, please respond to us with any questions that you might have, because we can keep this conversation going. We're very, very easy to reach. So please do so. And we're happy to help with any other thoughts that you might have about items or whatnot. And the feedback's been really, really awesome. So can't thank you all enough for all.
I have us a winner. I have a winner.
Okay.
I don't think that she's ever won before. I'm not sure if this is her first time or not, but Laura Thompson is our winner this week. So Laura, you just won an experience that you can use in your next fundraiser to help you raise more money.
All right.
And we'll reach out to you about that. And so, hey, congratulations.
All right,
guys,
Laura,
thank you all so much for being here. Hey, and if you have any questions, reach out to us. And like I said, we do offer trips, and so we're glad to help you with those. But anything else, if you've got a question with something that you've got, like the picture about the nude prints, what to do with those, don't hesitate. Jason at HGA Fundraising, Trevor at HGAfundraising.com. We definitely would love to help you in any way we can. We want to help you raise more money because that's what we got into this for, to help your wonderful causes and everything that you guys are doing. So please, next week we're going to be talking about the Cabo Caribbean craze and how to. We're going to have some great guests on to help us talk about strategies about how to really do that real well and how to get that information out there to your folks and how to market it and really create some real value for you and raise more money. I mean, it is the number one thing we're doing right now. Golden tickets and Caribbean craze, raising a lot of money with those. So
thanks, Jackie. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Please tell a friend, tell a colleague, and tell them to tell a friend, and we'll see you all next Thursday. That's for sure. So same place. Thanks,
same bat time, same bat channel.
All right.
All right. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a great week.
Thanks, Kathy. Bye now.
Bye-bye.